There we go.
Oh,
Everybody, welcome to the Five Guys on Live. I am once again broadcasting on remote location from the hospitality state. It is great to have all of you gentlemen here with us. CJ is here, Darius is here, DeAndre is here, and Vince will hopefully be back very soon. For those who are watching, please chime in, tell us hello, let us know where you're coming from, and let's jump right into, guys, a full list. I know that on the Instagram page, I will not say who said it. I know who said it. They actually came back and left. That there's a lot to cover in a short amount of time. Can we get it all done in an hour? My belief is that we can cover this full show agenda and the time frame we have. Let's start things off right off the bat and go right into what many people are already talking about. The 2021 BET Awards were broadcast live last night, and the kids are talking about Cardi B in her second known pregnancy, as well as Lil Nas X and his continuous, consistent, attention-seeking behavior. CJ, you are our resident pop culture expert. Did you watch last night's show? And if so, what are your thoughts?
Absolutely, I did watch the show last night, and the show overall was okay. There was a lot of, twerking and smoke and things of that nature. But as far as the tribute to DMX, as far as Lifetime Achievement Award to Queen Latifah, I thought it was well done. Lil Nas X performances, I think it was great. I don't know why people are making a big uproar about it because he's done this performance before with Kissing the Boy to Montero, so I don't know why people are making a big deal about it. He actually did that performance on the Jimmy Fallon show. Maybe because it was just on the BT stage, I'm not sure. And Taraji P. Henson, we already know her personality is over the top and extra, but I just feel like she was doing way too much, like way too much. But Jasmine Sullivan looked amazing, and I'm glad that Jasmine Sullivan won her Record of the Year award because it was really well deserved. I was actually shocked that she won because she wasn't, I guess, some heavy hitter, but she deserved it. So overall, the show was a C.
is it me or is it CJ's Wi-Fi a little? Is it lagging for everyone?
It seems like, is it my Wi-Fi?
Well, that you look clear, but Darius and Gary look fuzzy.
Oh.
And I actually looked really clear on my end. It was like I was saying, like it was looking weird on you all's end. Actually, me and Zach were clear on my end.
And Zach and I are clear on my end as well.
And then Darius is frozen on my end. So not no more.
Ooh, child.
The devil is busy tonight in the broadcast. So I would assume that it might be, so let's log out. Some people let's just one time log out, log back in, and see if that's going to fix the problem. So I see you now, Darius. Dr. Pick and Move.
He's frozen to me.
Yeah, he's frozen to me as well. So Yolanda said lots of twerking. So people at home, tell us this. For those who are watching at home, how do we look to you? Because we're seeing some frozen movements on the screen. Tell us what we look like to you. It very well could be the fact that I'm using internet Wi-Fi from the hotel, and that's a lot of bandwidth and broadband being attempted to be employed. That could be the cause. I'm not sure. Yolanda, let us know how it's looking to you on your end. Darius is frozen. And so I think he's unfrozen now. Darius, did you watch the program? And if so, what did you think?
I did not watch the BET Awards. However, I did have a chance to catch some YouTube clips. And I was impressed. It was good to see Maxine Waters there. Jasmine Sullivan can do absolutely no wrong in my book. I'm not sure about how the entire program went, though. But I did watch some of the performances that I wanted to see. I did not know that song that Cardi B was on. Congratulations to her and her husband on their second child. But other than that, bring Beyonce back to the BET Awards and bring Monique and her bonnet hating self back to the BET Awards.
Vince, any thoughts on these BET Awards?
Yeah, definitely. I apologize for the technical difficulties on my end, but really quickly, some high moments for me was Jasmine Sullivan winning Best Album of the Year. She is long overdue with winning that award. I think that her previous projects definitely have deserved it, but I know since, I guess you could say, coming out of the quarantine, if you will, she really started revving and ramping up, and she was just that girl, that entertainer, post end of the quarantine. So I really love the fact that she won that award. Shout out to her mom for surviving cancer. I thought her bringing her mom to the stage was amazing. That was beautiful. I really enjoyed the sub theme, if you will, Year of the Women. Woman, that was great. Taraji P. Henson imitating Erykah Badu with Method Man was hilarious. That skit was too funny. And the tributes, like Darius said, with Queen Latifah and DMX were phenomenal. Her was outstanding. Her never disappoints, and I really like what she said during her acceptance speech. How she was literally about 2-3 weeks ago, she was on the Country Music Awards with Chris Stapleton, and she was basically letting the country media or the country press know that basically the country industry, or the genre rather, came from R&B. A lot of people are saying that R&B is dead, this, that, and the third, but she and many other super talented R&B artists definitely made their stake known that R&B is here to stay. Saweetie trying to walk in that heavy dress was hilarious last night as well. And I really like the baton. Well, for me, I saw it was like a baton handoff between just the older generations and the newer generations. When you saw Lil' Kim supporting Megan Thee Stallion, DJ Khaled when he did his new record with the baby Megan Thee Stallion, Lil Baby, and Lil Durk. And I feel like his new record is sort of like the 2021 version of All I Do Is Win. And you just saw the blend of the generations, which is what I thought was so beautiful. Really quickly, some low points that I did not like. When you talk about the BET Awards, I feel like this is the moment where you celebrate hip hop, you should celebrate R&B, and you should celebrate gospel. Hip hop already has the BET Hip Hop Awards. R&B pretty much has the Soul Train Awards, but I feel like the BET Awards is just so heavily saturated with hip hop, and none of the other genres and none of the other talents in the building really get the recognition and the platform to showcase their work, to showcase their creativity like the hip hop artists do. So I wish they would do better than that. And I am getting really tired of Kirk Franklin being the staple gospel guy. It's a trillion other gospel artists out there just as famous as Kirk Franklin, so on and so forth, but they keep having him year after year, like there ain't nobody else in LA that can sing for Jesus. So I'm ready for some more gospel talent to come showcase on the BET Awards. And those were my thoughts on it. Oh, I'm sorry. I hate that Chloe and Halle keeps getting snubbed on all these award shows. Chloe and Halle gave us some great music and gave us a great album and great visuals during that quarantine. It was between them two and Meg Thee Stallion. So the fact that they haven't got the recognition that I think they deserve really sucks.
So, I've had brief communication with DeAndre about the Lil Nas X performance. Sean Moorhead says here that Lil Nas X is a little overrated. It seemed forced. I know I've seen lots of commentary on social media. DeAndre, what are your thoughts?
Honestly, for me, like I said, I tell people at the end of the day, it's a twofold. Number one, it's kind of hard to say we're trying to normalize things if we keep talking about a thing, right? Like if you feel like you have to keep asking for acceptance or permission, then that actually creates this thing. But for me, I'm not a big fan of public displays of affection or all that stuff, whether it's straight or gay. So I'm just saying, it's not my thing. As Vince was saying, I think the BET Awards has strayed away from what I believe the intentionality was supposed to be. It used to really be about the celebration of all excellence. For me, also, I think we also each year the BET Awards have to stop, and I use this word lightly, have to stop pandering to what situation is going on each year, because they made it all of a sudden like this is all about the year of women. Okay, I get it. I understand that they made it all about year of women. But BET does Black Girls Rock. They do all these things that specifically around women, and there really is no show that actually does that Black excellence for men. And so, because we have to be very careful about how we continue to single out stuff every year when there were so many other things that have been happening over the course of the year. For me, I was very excited and happy that Queen Latifah, though, did get her recognition and her shine because she deserves it. And she really has been a staple over across, just many platforms. But outside of that, Lil Nas X was not the only thing that happened on that show. And so I want people to make that clear that he wasn't the only thing that happened. And when we make things about him and forget about all the wonderful things that happened over the course of that, or the people who got their shine, like Megan Thee Stallion, or her, who actually received the awards and did an amazing performance herself. So we stopped taking the shine away from people. So that was just how I felt. But I did watch it because I wanted to be able to at least discuss it. But we take too much away from all the other Black excellence when we focus on that one thing.
And so Richard said he totally disagreed with the comment about Lil Nas X being overrated. But Sean says he agrees. Let's focus on Black music appreciation and not the tabloids. I'm inclined to agree with both of you as well. I have no problem with a publicity stunt every now and then to garner record sales and increase your visibility. But it gets to a point where when you're doing the exact same trope over and over again, it's played. It's time to move forward. Now, with that being said, there are multiple lawsuits pending. And so, also, hey, Zach, bear with us, viewers. I do believe that the problem very well could be the Wi-Fi attempt of streaming from a hotel and trying to get Wi-Fi to work. Again, I'm on location, unavoidable, nothing I can do about it. Don't know what's going on, but I think that's part of the streaming problem. One thing I can tell that might help is just simply keeping all 4 or 5 faces on the screen instead of doing the different change outs. So that might assist. We will see. Or then again, it could just be their Wi-Fi at home. See, I don't know about that. I don't pay those bills. Now, there are multiple lawsuits pending against the state of Georgia over the restrictive, racist, anti-voting law intended to defeat democracy. DeAndre, we have the New Georgia Project versus Raffensperger. We have the Georgia NAACP versus Raffensperger, the AME Church versus Brian Kemp, the Asian American Advancing Justice Atlanta, the Vote American versus Raffenspergers, the Concerned Black Clergy versus Raffensperger, as well as the Coalition for Good Governance against Raffensperger. In addition to those 8 lawsuits, we have a brand new lawsuit that was filed on Friday. Tell us about it.
So as Zach was saying, there are 8 different lawsuits that have been put forth by many organizations and institutions here in the state of Georgia against the state of Georgia or individuals who played a part in the Senate Bill 202, which has been known to be a damaging and a damning piece of legislation that is restricting and for the most part pigeonholing Black and brown voters, particularly Black voters, because it affects more so individuals in the Black community. Well, on Friday, our U.S. Attorney General, Merrick Garland, made the decision that he was going to file a lawsuit against the state of Georgia, in particularly around that issue, being the fact that it abuses the second section of the Civil Rights Act. And that is actually an issue. And one of the things that I can honestly say that the critics are continuously talking about what Joe Biden is not doing. In essence, Joe Biden is doing the very thing that Joe Biden said he was going to do, which was put people in positions in place that were actually going to fight for the American people. We unfortunately saw 4 years ago that we had a attorney general who spoke to the press, spoke to what the president wanted. The office of the United States Attorney General is the attorney for the people, not the attorney for the president. And what happens is Merrick Garland is saying that the civil liberties and rights of the people across the country, particularly in the state of Georgia, are being oppressed, and we have to fight against that. And so this is a win, I believe, for not just the presidency, his administration, but also for the American people. The question I have for you, gentlemen, is what are your thoughts about this particular lawsuit? Because he does hold a little more weight than the other 8 lawsuits. But what is your thoughts? Do you think this is a good step in the presidency and what the president is doing to make sure that the civil liberties are protected for the American people? And how do we continue to help push this narrative?
The Department of Justice is gonna be tired of having to come down to Atlanta and get these people together. The people in Atlanta are running amok, okay? But I think that it's a good thing that they are bringing these charges or rather this lawsuit, because it also is a show that nationally we are concerned about ensuring that everyone has proper access to the right to vote. I think that I was looking at the numbers. I think 29% of Black voters voted using the mail-in or like the drop boxes, as opposed to 24% of white voters. And so it's already, telling who that will directly impact the most, even with that slim margin. And so, it is clear what the goal is, and I'm glad that there's a national stance against this, because this isn't just happening in Georgia. This is happening across the nation where these laws are popping up. I think they're also evaluating some practices in Arizona right now. So it's just good to know that something is seen that, this is wrong, and that they're going to try to mitigate those issues.
And to add to that, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I definitely agree with you, DeAndre, and Darius. I like what Sean Moreland just said. Basically, the checks and balances. I really think that's what the DOJ is doing. I like the fact that Attorney Garland also made a request, a petition known to the Congress to give certain powers back to the DOJ just for simple oversight. I sort of, when you think about the Republican and the Democratic Party, the Republicans often say that we don't like big government, state power, state power, state power. However, what we've seen, especially during the Trump administration, is that these Republican states can easily just run amok. And I can understand why governors definitely should have power over their states. But at the end of the day, there should still be some type of oversight and accountability in many of these areas, especially for voting, especially for civil rights. So the fact that Attorney General Garland is getting in the grit, getting in the weeds with it, I really appreciate him for doing that. One thing that did sort of strike a chord, with me was Secretary of State Raffensperger. He was recently interviewed. He said it is no surprise that they would operationalize their lies with the full force of the federal government. I look forward to meeting them and beating them in court. So when he made that comment, I'm thinking about, well, didn't you just lose your power and your job to oversee the elections yourself? And weren't they just Trump's big lie make you and your wife have all those death threats and everything? So now, you get what I'm saying, back November, December, January, you crying and you want all the support in the world, and every Republican, every Trumpican don't like you, but now you willing to fight and do all this stuff for them. So that, for me, I'm looking at it like it's a whole bunch of CYA and covering your ass, and that's about to happen right now in the state of Georgia. So I'm really interested in paying close attention to this case to see how far to see if it'll go pretty far. Hopefully it does.
But you got to remember, Vince, also it's almost election time. And so because it's almost election time, people have to still start talking to their base, and they have to make sure they get that. They have to start realizing, listen, the base is speaking to this, because we all know Raffensperger at the end of the day was thrown under the bus by every Republican in Georgia. Georgia Republicans made it very clear. Let me be very clear. I want to state what the reasoning for Senate Bill 202 was to enhance what we call the confidence of the election process. It was the Republican Secretary of State and the Lieutenant Governor and some of the other Republican individuals who said there was nothing wrong with the election process in Georgia. And so, unfortunately, the Republicans are going to continuously fight against this. The last point I want to make about this is because I really want to make sure I drive this home, is because of the fact I want to commend President Biden, simply because of the fact that President Biden, we want to, again, we make this conversation on this platform a lot of times when we talk about this whole throwing everything at the presidency, and the president has to handle everything. That's the reason why he put people in place like Merrick Garland, because of the fact you have to have people in specific offices who can take on these responsibilities. It's not the president's job to handle everything. Hence the reason why we have all these people. So kudos to President Biden and his administration for stepping up and saying, I'm going to let the people that I have confidence in, I'm going to give them the autonomy to do the work for the people and let the will of the people be done.
And not only that, really quickly, I have to also praise Attorney General Garland. Like the the surge of effort and initiative that has commenced since he took that seat, especially in regards to him investigating the Minnesota State Police, the Dante Wright situation. Like, I feel like a lot of civil rights and social justice movements, he's been very adamant in hitting it. Like, he doesn't linger on it. As soon as something hit the fan, he's talking about it like he in front of our face like 24, 48 hours later. So I really appreciate him for that. And also to piggyback on what you just said, DeAndre, yes, praise Biden, but we definitely have to remain educated in knowing that this is a good move in effort under Biden's agenda, if that makes sense. Because at the end of the day, a lot of us are headline topic readers. So like you said, DeAndre, if folk don't see Biden doing nothing, then Biden ain't did ish. He is delegating, people. That's what he's doing. There is power in delegation. All right. So let's remain educated.
Good point.
So, I think you guys have done a great job in really discussing that. Our next topic we're going to go to, because we really are going to push through our agenda tonight to get through to the full scope. If you're watching live, tell your friends to come back, tell people to come back. It looks like we've resolved. The Wi-Fi is working and connected and is flowing strong, just like the opinions are flowing and the power of the Holy Ghost through us. The next topic is infrastructure, and I want to do this a little bit different. I want to open the floor up and ask if you have questions about the Biden infrastructure bill and the ongoing effort to have a Senate compromise around the bill. And if not, we'll kind of keep it moving. But I know a lot of people may not understand kind of what's the big deal. This would literally be the biggest infrastructure bill in America since 2009 in terms of money being allocated to actually replace damaged infrastructure. The infrastructure bill that President Biden has compromised on with the work of people like Joe Manchin and Christian Sinema would actually be able to replace all lead pipes in America. It would add 500,000 brand new electric vehicle charging stations all across the country. It would also increase public transit and railway access, as well as giving every American high-speed, reliable internet. I am, again, coming to you live from Mississippi, where some high-speed internet might be needed and would help avoid some of the glitches that we experienced at the beginning of the show. Are there any questions, thoughts, or comments about the infrastructure bill, or any opinions that really you guys want to share, especially our viewers, before we move to our next topic?
So for me, what I appreciate about this infrastructure bill is the human infrastructure part, if you will. I know in earlier conversations, when we hear the word infrastructure, it's airports, it's seaports, it's the bridges, it's the roads, it's the highways and the byways. But the fact that Biden intertwined the internal aspect of what infrastructure in terms of our communities, education, nutrition, all these things, I think that really matters. And I know that is the pushback from the Republican Party, because they feel that it should be two separate entities. But my thing is, the Republican Party should not have been pussyfooting around for the past 12 years, because 4 years was Trump. We know what he did. And then 8 years prior was Obama, and McConnell was determined and did block everything that Obama wanted to do. So had the Republican Party not been pussyfooting around on human rights, right, on what we as Americans deserve in terms of just enhancing and the betterment of our future, then Biden maybe wouldn't even have to intertwine both infrastructure ideas at the same time. I also love the fact that Pelosi introduced the reconciliation bill. I think that might be a good look, because at the end of the day, we know that the Democrats and the bipartisanship, soul of the nation, heal the world. I get it, but at the end of the day, Biden needs to let his nuts hang. The Democratic Party need to let their nuts hang and let these, do whatever you need to do to pass this bill by any means necessary.
But Vince, so here's the thing. You made a good point, but here's the reality. The human infrastructure part, that's what's probably not going to make it. That's what's probably going to get cut. There's a lot of money in the original bill for child care. There's a lot of money in the original bills around providing support to needy families so that the infrastructure work can happen and really have an impact in America. But that's actually what the Republicans want to cut. If this bill doesn't pass, you can't blame Democrat, because the bottom line is we don't have the votes. Like, we don't have enough people to get this through. And that is not the fault of the Democratic Party. That's the fault of America.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree. And we also got to be, and as much as just as quick as I'm quick to give Biden his kudos, I'm also critique of Biden as well, because that veto threat that he threw out there as well, that blindsided some of his own party members. You got to be kind of careful when you're doing those kind of things, because when you're trying to actually make sure, when you're trying to actually get stuff done, when you're on the precipice of getting it finished, and then you throw a wrench out there, and now it's like, oh crap, now you're potentially playing with the lives of American people. So he backtracked on Saturday and said, I mean, that wasn't my intent. But again, when you're playing checkers and chess, you got to make sure you're very strategic in that. And so I'm with you, Vince, but I'm also with you, Zach, when I'm saying, listen, at the end of the day, if this thing doesn't pass, we have to be mindful that we have 50-50. It is 50-50. And as I said last week, we still are banking on a man from West Virginia and a young lady from Arizona who may or may not have our best interests at heart. So we got to be very careful about how we play this strategy.
So one thing that I'm happy to say, for the first time on the show, I'm actually going to speak and say something that is not positive about, President Biden, because I love to be balanced. I've been waiting to be balanced but I'm very disappointed in the whole concept of compromise around infrastructure as well as voting rights. There are sometimes some issues that aren't worth compromising on. And to be honest with you, when it comes to this infrastructure bill, I don't mind holding it up to get the right bill passed through Congress. If the Democratic Party has to make infrastructure and the creation of these brand new jobs that will significantly shape and transform America's future for the next 10 years, the wedge issue that they withhold, I want them to withhold it. Because here's what's going to happen. Republicans are going to force a bill through that does not meet the priorities of the Democratic Party, with specific interest to progressives in the party. Those progressives are going to be disappointed, they're going to be disenfranchised, and they're going to withhold their vote for the 2024 midterms. We will not have a majority in the Senate. We may not have a majority in Congress, and we will have gridlock and deadlock. But we will still have had an infrastructure bill passed. When you get a new president that very well may be a Republican, which is likely to happen, in my opinion, if we lose base support in the Democratic Party, they will get all of the credit for turning around the economy. That Republican president will get all the praise for 10 years of work that is the result of Biden's original infrastructure bill. So if Democrats have to sit on this one, I say sit on it. This is not, to me, the big important hill to push through. Voting rights needs to be the priority of the Democratic Party and the Biden administration, period, point blank, so that they will continue to have a majority in Congress and hopefully continue to have control of the executive branch of government. That is my opinion. I think Biden is making a mistake by giving in to people like Joe Manchin. I do not think he is a Democrat. I think that he is funded by the Republican Party, and he is, to me, no friend of the American people.
Well, we're going to move on in just a second, but I wanted to echo Candace's sentiments about the just access and equity, especially as it relates to internet access in rural communities. And I know that was one thing during the pandemic I think was really highlighted and brought to the forefront. All of the schools who were unable to successfully run a virtual school year because a lot of the children don't have access to the internet for a number of reasons, but specifically in rural communities where it's a lot harder to access internet. So I love the tone of equity and access that this infrastructure plan has.
If it can get passed, and if it's going to have the components of the bill that will actually have an impact on the American people. If it's not going to help the American people, there's no point in passing this bill. If this is going to be a bill that's going to put more money into places like West Virginia and Arizona to make Sinema and Manchin happy at the sake of the American people, I have no value and see no value in it, in my opinion. But some people do see value in freeing Brittany Spears. The cries of "leave Brittany alone" have evolved into the cries for freeing Brittany Spears. We talked about this previously, and I was blasted. I was told that no one cares about this woman, and that is not the focus of this broadcast. However, Darius, has that opinion changed, and do we now care about emancipation for the one and the only Brittany Spears?
Absolutely. It was me, y'all. I admit it. It was me. I said we need to stay out of the white folk business. because we asked people to stay out of our business. But after seeing her interview, or rather her testimony before the court, I couldn't help but hurt for her as a human, as a brother, you know, as someone who loves my family members. And I'll just highlight some of the most serious allegations. She compared her situation to being sex trafficked. She called her conservatorship abusive. She said she was forced to take lithium medication, and she wants to end her conservatorship, but she believes her family will stop her. She wants to sue her family, and she said they were telling lies about her, and she thought that if she came forward, no one would believe her. And what was most heartbreaking for me out of all those things was to learn that she wanted to just simply be able to get married and have a baby. And I'm like, damn, it never dawned on me that all of these things were, you know, terms of her conservatorship. I'm just thinking like rich people problems, girl, like you got to go through certain people in order to do certain things, like, you know. But to hear even that, you know, they had control over her reproductive system, like that's just bogus. Like, so I am with the world, and I recant my statement, and I want to say free Brittany. And also I saw that her sister, Jamie Lynn Spears, who I am a big fan of Jamie Lynn from when she was on Zoe 101. So she finally spoke out. But she said that she's always supported Brittany. However, she did not feel that she should speak out until Brittany was able to tell her own story. I'm not sure what's happened with her since I was a kid, because I see Zach over here shaking his head. I'm sure he's going to let me know. But yeah, so guys, what do y'all think about Brittany Spears and, you know, the potential end of her conservatorship? Should they end it? What needs to happen?
I was frowning at Jamie Lynn because, you know, Jamie Lynn could have found a way to break Brittany on out of there if she really wanted her out of there.
Oh.
Jamie Lynn didn't say anything.
I agree with you.
Yeah, Jamie Lynn wasn't saying anything until social media turned against her.
Okay.
So I saw tons of comments and tweets and Facebook posts attacking Jamie Lynn Spears and the Zoe, the one. It absolutely not. Let me tell you something. I would crawl through a cave to emancipate my sister if she was being held against her will.
Okay.
I felt she was being done wrong. On the other hand, I also, however, would definitely advocate for her to receive appropriate mental health care if she was in some way a danger to herself and or to others. So I think that's kind of where the confusion comes into. Now, I'll be honest with you, Darius. I've always felt about what you're saying. I agree. Brittany Spears, you know what? This is her life. If Brittany Spears wants to give away every red cent she has that right. That is her money. That is what it's about. And I know her family, I think there's a lot about wanting to hold on to that money. They say they're doing it for her safeguard, for her children's safeguard. It's hers. It's not yours. She earned it. She can do whatever she wants with it, as long as she is not a physical danger to herself or to others. If she wants to do, if she wants to do like Michael Jackson and build Neverland Ranch and lay up in the bed and sleep with the chimpanzee Bubbles, that's her right to do so. She's empowered.
Well, I guess I'm just confused. If she decides to sue the family, what is she going to get? The money that she gave to the family? I mean, Darius, you said that she said she wanted to sue the family, or she's looking, or maybe potentially thinking to sue the family.
Yeah, she said that she wanted to sue the family.
And what is she going to get?
She said that the family benefited from her silence, and they have lived off of her conservatorship. And her family is doing interviews, talking about the situation, making her feel bad. So I'm sure that there's some sort of money that they're taking in from even taking interviews to talk about Brittany and her conservatorship.
Well, absolutely. That's why I said she would just be getting her own money back. I mean, I kind of feel like there's two sides to every story, and then there's the truth. I mean, I don't know if I could believe all this is what she's saying. I'm sorry.
I don't think that she would get in court and perjure herself just for not. Like,
this is the same girl who shaved her head and was dealing with mental. I don't know.
People go through things all the time, CJ.
She does, but I'm just saying, I don't know.
That sounds a little.
Really truth to it. I feel like some of it could be a little far-fetched. I think that's just.
I don't know. It sounds a little insensitive on my end. And she also said that she not only wants to sue her family, but she wants to see them go to jail too. So I don't want to leave that out there, regardless of hell, she probably got more money than everybody on this chat put together. but just it's the principle of it at the end. It's the principle of it at the end of the day. If you get where I'm going. For me, in all honesty, I've been Team Brittany since 1998. Hit Me Baby One More Time. I love Brittany Spears. I almost had the opportunity to sing background for her during the Femme Fatale tour because I know her music director. So she and this story has been very near and dear to my heart. I was cringing listening to that testimonial, and she sounded completely night and day from her Instagram post to her court testimony. If you pay attention to them Instagram posts, they're very nasally, like she sounded like she's 3 years old. But when she got in that courtroom, she sounded like a no-nonsense Southern Louisiana woman that was about to bust somebody in their head for beating their child or something like that. So I sense the frustration, I sense the severity, and I sense just the human rights of it. Like just being human. You get what I'm saying? Like you are completely withholding her getting in her car, can't see your kids, like you said, controlling her reproductive system. They took the bedroom off of her door, the bedroom door off of the bedroom, whatever, and watched her change naked and things of that nature. It's just some of the most bizarre and blasphemous things that unfortunately she had to go through. And at the end of the day, we're not in her shoes. None of us will never know. But I really don't feel like she would be in this predicament, like Darius said, to just sit up here and do a 20-minute statement full of lies or 30% of them lies or what have you. Like, I really don't. This girl done been hell in high water. And I really also, I could see when she said she was forced to work after the Vegas to go on that tour, because when she ended her residency at Planet Hollywood, she randomly did a tour in Asia and Europe, but she didn't have an album out. And typically when you look at Celine, when you look at J-Lo, when you look at Mariah, you don't spend 4 years in Las Vegas. Why am I going on a world tour? I need to sit my ass down and go to bed. So the fact that she was like recounting career moves that she did not want to do, that is receipts for everybody to see. Look on YouTube and you can tell she's tired. You can tell when she did the Apple Music Awards, she was there against the will. She was barely, why am I here? Oh my God. What the hell? But you lying, you telling me that I'm gonna get sued if I don't do this performance. You get what I'm saying? So free Brittany. I hope she gets emancipated. And I also hope that I know we talked about oversight earlier, Zach and DeAndre. I really hope that people that are under conservatorships, I don't know if there's like not a defects worker, a social worker that can review and assess these things, but I really hope that Brittany turns this into a testimony and a platform for other people that also may be going through this, because I really feel like, yes, there may be people with dementia that need this assistance and these parameters, but there may be some other people that are being taken advantage of, in this system. So hopefully this just brings a better, recognition around this conversation.
Mm-hmm. Brittany Spears, as you stated, definitely gave a very coherent testimony and definitely sounded like she was in complete control of her mental faculties. You also talk about more money could buy. Britney Spears is worth an estimated $60 million. So as of today, she definitely has more money than probably most of us combined. But I'll get there one day. Life is long and the future is bright. I don't think that, it's a heartbreaking story. And personally, for me, Jamie Lynn Spears is, as you guys will probably already know what's coming out of my mouth, canceled. There will be no more Jamie Lynn. She had some garbage songs and she did a couple turns in some shows. It's a wrap. I will not be able to support her. I think that she is a part of a project that a good friend of mine is on. Now, I watched the project for my friend. You guys probably, I won't say the name, but you know what I'm talking about. I don't want my friend being mad at me. The one and only the great Atlanta actress that I work with on Thursday nights. We're back live with you in August, but we definitely are going to. I'll watch that program for her, but not because of Jamie Lynn. She's canceled. Last week we talked about cancel culture, as some people call it. I call it accountability culture, and we talked about the one and only Chrisette Michelle. Chrisette Michelle, a beautiful singer in terms of her music, not so beautiful in terms of her attitude. I think we saw her. She was on like a show. She was on like a reality show, and I watched a couple of episodes. R&B Diva with Monifa. Was not a fan of Chrisette's behavior and completely made my decision to no longer support her and give her the big Kurt cancel when she performed for the one and only twice impeached, failed to be reelected Donald J. Trump. Tell us, Vince, about Chrisette Michelle and give us a deep dive into the Chrisette Michelle story and give us maybe your argument or your case about whether or not we should, because you said last week, Vince Ashton, that she was canceled unfairly and that maybe she deserved a second chance. Now, you know no matter what you say, I'm not going to give her a second chance, but there is somebody within the sound of my voice who might. Go ahead and tell us about it.
Right, yeah. So we have to now take this conversation from the Five Guys platform and just think about the world of the community at large. Yes, we know Zach will cancel anybody at the drop of a dime, but let's just look at the community and the world at large. All right, so bear with me. So of course we know that Chrisette Michelle was canceled per performing at Trump's inauguration. Her intent was to have a Michael Jackson heal the world moment, a bridge between communities, and it definitely did not work out for her in her favor at all. Now, post this performance, of course, she went through a lot of depression, you know, all these things. Her career suffered, so on and so forth. However, other celebrities have sort of walked on that same path. Steve Harvey, Lil Wayne, Kanye West, so on and so forth. Even going backwards to the Chrisette Michelle performance, if anybody saw her interview on the Terrell Show, she was accompanied by Travis Green, who is an extremely popular